Ladies and gentlemen, it was about to happen. Now we're getting to the real cream of the crop. Back in the day, there was a guy named Brian Donnelly, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what he's heard when he was U-16 for the United States of America and China. Hundreds of thousands of people in the stands watching Donnelly doing the magic with the ball, and he was and he was the captain of the deal. And so I'm at this place, and this place has got the soccer guys, and they said that's the guy you ought to interview, and they gave him a little something. And the first thing you said, Brian, when I came over to you, I said, man, they saying you, hey, I owe my coach, Greg Vitello, everything. And to me, that got you in the Whale Certified Hall of Affinity. To remember where you came from. I guess you were maybe a Gatorade Player of the Year as a freshman or something?
Yeah, I think I was a two-time Parade All-American, I think, and then I was a Gatorade Player of the Year, I think, for during high school. Yeah, I think that's what happened. And like I said, when I first saw you, there were several other people in the room that need to be interviewed, like Steve Kickham and Mike Sorber. But I guess I can add some value to the youth of St. Louis during that time. But I owe my career to Tommy Howe and Terry Collom, and then of course Greg Vitello, because I brought up Greg Vitello's name because when I became a freshman at the Smet, if you remember back in the day, freshmen they just don't play varsity. It was kind of a principle. You got to pay your dues. You gotta just get on the Southboard team. You don't go straight to varsity. And it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. So Vitello definitely went against the grain and took a chance on me and was hoping that, one, I wouldn't get hurt, and two, I could hold my own. And it worked out. It ended up working out pretty well. I remember one of my first games, I almost got knocked out by a CBC player because they didn't like a freshman being on a varsity team. So that particular gentleman, I don't think he deserves even mentioning because he was really just kind of a big bully, big jerk, not all that talented. But he was at CBC, and he almost knocked me out with a forearm. I was doing a double wall. And Vitello really thought that, I was going to raise my hand to sub out, and I just got up and shook it off and got in the double wall, and I gave an elbow to a sternum. And, that was my initiation into varsity. So Vitello was excited that I almost got knocked out, didn't get knocked out. I stood up. Because I wasn't a little kid. I mean, even though I was a freshman, I wasn't as strong as the older boys. But, even as a freshman, I was probably 6 foot at that time.
Wow.
And I wasn't a weakling. I have an older brother that's 4 years older than me, and he wasn't easy on me. So I was used to getting roughed up. Just typical St. Louis, North County.
Yeah, there you go.
You're not going to grow up and being you're just not going to be soft.
No.
In North County.
But I got to stop you.
Yeah. You growing up playing Scott Gallagher, you're just not going to be soft.
There you go. What about the double wall? I'm curious. Was that a particular move?
No, so they just, on a free kick, they're lining up a wall, and a lot of times the offensive team would set up two players.
Okay, I got you.
To kind of screen the keeper a little bit. You kind of do a double wall. The guy on the end, that CBC player, just gave me a forearm to the upper shoulders and really kind of knocked me forward on my face. And, I got up. Ain't no big thing.
I got it. All right.
Yeah. So, like I said, I got to give Vitello kudos for taking a chance because it was so against principle and so against the grain. It just didn't happen. And he just took a chance, and it ended up working out pretty well. I ended up having a pretty good freshman year. I didn't score a lot of goals, I don't recall, but I remember assisting a lot. We had some really good players on display at that time. Paul Corolla, Keith Knopf, Don Solowski, these were all goal scorers, and I was there to do a job, and that was mostly to tee them up. So, so it ended up working out okay. And it's funny too, because I learned from some old classmates of mine that there's some sort of insignia or something, frame, or I don't know. I got some sort of record that holds from like the mid 1980s for our assist. Yeah, which is strange. I got to go and check it out and see what it's about. So from that time with Mr. Vitello allowing me to do that, I got some sort of record that still holds today.
Wow.
From that. So I guess that, I don't know, what does that mean? It's 40 years old.
Here you go, baby.
It's just pretty funny. I got to go check it out and see what it's about. Some sort of most assist in a season or most assist in a career or something. I'm not really sure. Yeah. I'll just have to find that out. So it's because of those coaches, allowing me to play up, so to speak. Tommy Howe allowed me to play up. Like I was young one year for Scott Gallagher, and then I was old one year because we only had single teams.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
if we only had one under 14 team, we had tryouts every year, and it's not a gimme that you make it. You got to try out and you got to make it. So
right.
So Kickham would be the older one on the team because he was a year older than me, and then I was the younger one, and I typically would make the team. So it was great playing up a year, especially with players like Kickham and Horton and John Meek and Jim Hennessy, Scott Robeson. I mean, these were all solid players. Kickham especially, because Kickham at that time was, in my opinion, probably the best youth player in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah, which is amazing that this kid from Our Lady of Good Counsel, he was just a beast, and he could score, and he was fast, he was strong. We talked about him the other day with Tommy Strunk and the rest of those St. Louis U guys sitting up in stands watching St. Louis U play, that everybody agreed Kickham was probably the best youth player coming out of the United States at that time, and that says a lot for a North County kid. It's just great. So yeah, there was a lot of talent coming out of that North County area for sure.
Yeah, and what years would that be? Like 3 or 4 years. What years?
So Kickham, I would think Kickham was probably one of the best players in the country from, I would think, most of the 80s.
Wow.
That whole decade.
Wow.
Yeah,
man, my jaw dropped when he said that. Holy cow.
Yeah, I would think from 1980 through that decade, Kickham was, if not the best, I would say easy top 5 best in the country. And in today's world, it's easier to track because, ESPN has these top 100.
Yeah.
They're tracking all this, but, you didn't have a tracking. But with me and some of these other players going up through the ranks, you kind of learn who the best players in the country are, so you kind of know how good they are and things like that. So at the age of 15 and 16, I'm starting to hit the upper ranks and the upper echelon of the levels of the United States soccer. And, I'm looking around and seeing all these players. I'm like, yeah, Kickham's better. Yeah, Kickham's better.
Yeah.
Kickham's better. He's just, he was just awesome. And he was a great teammate. And, he's just one of those guys that's a great success story coming out of North County, St. Louis. And, and he and I went to the same grade school, which is pretty awesome.
What name was that?
Our Lady of Good Counsel.
Oh, I mean,
yeah. So he was a year ahead of me. So when he was in second grade, I was in first. So I just tracked him, and then he ended up going to Rosary, and then I just wasn't going to go to Rosary. Nothing against Rosary. I just wanted to get out of my brother's shadow.
Oh, absolutely.
he was already at Rosary. He was a Norco guy. Nothing against Norco. I had got friends that played with Norco. It's just that, again, I just wanted to get away from his shadow.
Yeah.
And so my parents, I don't know how they afforded the SMEC because, I don't know how they did it, but somehow, some way, they were able to afford the SMET, and it was a long trek in the mornings. It was
so we can go.
It was a tough 4 years. I didn't get a whole lot of sleep because DeSmet's a tough high school.
Yeah.
I had to get there early because it was a 45, 50-minute drive. Those are long days. It almost felt like a job. It almost felt like a job.
Wow.
So but it ended up being a nice career, and then.
Well, hold on, Brian.
I think the real connection.
Hey, Brian, you got the whales. I talk a lot, man. I remember we were overdosing. It said Jones. I mean, it's a magnificent story, but the deal is just to go on record. Full disclosure. You didn't get any soccer scholarship to go to DeSmet, did you?
I don't think so. I think that was illegal.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not aware of anything like that, and I'm not aware of any stipend, or I'm not aware of anything like that. And plus, my parents were two very ethical people. I don't think that would have been accepted anyway.
Well said.
They just weren't the type. They're too.
Yes.
They're just ethically sound. I don't think if it would have been offered for whatever reason, plus Vitello wouldn't have offered anyway.
There you go.
I just don't. No, I don't think that was even on the table. I just think my mom and dad had to sacrifice, and how they did it, I'm not sure. I didn't really ask, and I never really found out. But it was a challenge.
Yeah,
sure.
Other people sitting around, they think that all the time, and they throw it out, and that's why I asked the source.
Yeah. I'm not aware of it, and I think I would have been aware of something. It would have been slipped, or something would have happened. But during that early, it's really probably late grade school, early high school, Missouri State Select started. And I think it might have been Ed Hunnicky that was kind of involved in that program, I think. And so the Missouri Select started, and it was fun to be a part of that because you're kind of playing with some of the best players in the state if they were getting involved. And then I remember I got invited to a regional camp to get the Midwest states together to have like a regional camp from these state select teams. And I think, if I recall, it was in Kentucky. My dad went with me, and they had these, I think it was invitation only from these select players from each state. Missouri State Select, Kentucky State Select, just all the Missouri, all the Midwest states. And I ended up having a pretty good outing, and then I didn't really know what they were doing, but there was like this next level, and they said, they're going to be doing like a pool, like a national camp. And that's when they were discussing the potential of a under 16 Youth World Cup team, potentially for the Youth World Cup being held in Beijing, China, in I think it was like July 1985. So this is like the year before. So this is probably 1984. So I got invited to that national camp in the national pool, and there were some big-time coaches that were involved in that selection process. And then it started getting serious that, this is specifically going to be designed. The end game and the end goal is to turn this pool of players into like a 24-player pool that will turn into an 18-player travel team that would be the U.S. national team for under 16s.
Wow.
And I'm trying to remember if that was up in New York and New Jersey where that national camp was. Then we went to the United States Olympic Center. I think that's when we were down to 30 or 36 players. We were at Pikes Peak, if you know that, in Colorado Springs.
Oh yeah.
That's where the U.S. Olympic Training Center was. I think it might still be at the time. I'm not really sure. And that's where I think George Tarantini from NC State was part of the selection process to trim that pool down. And I had a good showing out there, and I got to meet a lot of these players, like, Henry Gutierrez, Brian Benedict, John Gwynn, Derek Massimo, Tony Miola. I mean, all these guys, John Masner. I mean, just players from all over the country, all talented, all solid players in their own right. And I'm just like, this is a lot of fun. Because in the beauty of St. Louis, and you already know this, I'm not telling you anything you need. Back in the day, a lot of these other teams had to travel out of state to go play against some of the best competition. Well, growing up as a kid, as a Scott Keller kid, we didn't have to go out of state. We were playing against some of the best players in the country in our own city. We had West 75, we had Voyager, we had Norco, we had Bush, we had Scott Gallagher. You had all these teams. We could just stay local, and we all got better because there were so many good teams with so much good talent, and they all had good coaches. So we didn't have to travel to Ohio or Texas or Florida or California to, play against really good competition, because it was all within a 30-minute drive. And I think that's part of the reason why St. Louis was, developing some of the better players in the country. If you look at New Jersey, similar to that, they had these pool of good coaches and these immigrant families that are just used to playing soccer, and the Italians, you got a lot of great players from certain pockets. And in the 80s, you had South Florida, you had New York, New Jersey, you had Southern Texas, you had Southern California, and you had St. Louis. I mean, there was so much talent coming out of these areas. Now the country's caught up. There's great players coming from everywhere. But back in that day, it was select hotspots. And it's funny, look at some of the guys that I played with on the under-16 national team, and then again on the under-19 national team, because I kind of kept in the process. I played for the under-19 team for the CONCACAF qualification, and I think I was the youngest player on that team. So I was with the national program for 2 straight years, for what it was worth. Yeah, under-16, which I was the captain of, and then the under-19 team, which I was the youngest, and I didn't play. I was just kind of there. I was a sub. But that's okay. I played against some great talent, got some great experience. But Mark Santel was the other St. Louisan on that team. I don't know if you know Mark. He played at St. Louis U, played for the Dallas Burn. He's another great player that was a product of St. Louis. He came from the Plumbers organization. They were a good soccer club in the early 80s.
Yeah.
You need to put him on your list and try to get a hold of him. Mark Santel.
Yeah.
Santel, great player.
Oh, yeah, I know. I know of him.
Yeah, he ended up going to St. Louis U. I think he had a good career there. He played for the Dallas Burn.
Sure.
In the MLS. Yeah. So he and we were on the under-19 team together.
So
what questions do you have, since I kind of gave you a quick little
this is wonderful. You was just having a conversation, just saying a Q&A. This is just you and I talking, and you're going to be a star, son. We're down in Singapore and Australia, and then we're down in San Antonio. So when you go in, watch out. When you drop your name, they may say, were you on Wheel Certified?
So it was just a great experience.
But hold on, let me get this question in.
Okay, go ahead.
Did the coach pick the captain, or did the players pick the captain?
The coach did. Yeah, the coach did at that time. Yeah, and he really he had several to choose from, in my opinion. I think John Gwynn from Torrance, California would have been a great captain as well. It really, just kind of pick your poison, Kevin. There was so many good players on that team, but I was kind of the center midfielder, so it just kind of made sense. And then I'm sure you've learned from talking to me at that Legends party with T.Howe and all those guys. I talk. I got no problem talking. So
No way.
I played like that as well. I was a communicator. I would talk. I was a real conduit, as a typical center midfielder would be. Sometimes they throw me in the back. Sometimes they throw me up top. So I was just kind of I don't know. I played so many different positions, but most of my career I was a center midfielder. So
Beautiful.
It just kind of made sense, and it was a proud moment. It was proud being selected as captain of that team going over to China. But, like I said, it could have been really probably 5 of us,
Right.
Just pick your poison.
Nowadays you don't even get sign language on the field. I mean, it's kind of lost its art about communicate with the ball and off the ball.
Yeah, I was verbal for sure. Maybe too much, honestly. Yeah. So,
but that's the deal with being with Tommy Howe, that you want to love it, you want to express it.
Yeah, you love it, you embrace it, and you demand the ball. You want the ball. You communicate. It's constant. Your head's on a swivel. Tommy was just such a great inspiration. Not only as an inspiration, but he was such a player development coach. I think it was Anton Dorrance that put it best, that Tommy Howe is a national treasure when it comes to U.S. player development.
Wow.
That's coming from Anton Dorrance. That's a quote.
That's a beautiful deal, baby. And you would only get that at Wales Certified.
It's insane. So, I met Tommy when I was probably 9 years old or 8 years old. And here I am meeting Tommy. I didn't know what I didn't know, and all of a sudden I'm meeting that would be a U.S. soccer national treasure. I don't know if Tommy Howe gets the accolades that he deserves, but all the players, United States, that have come across him, they know that he is that legend. He is that icon. He is that national treasure that Anton Dorrance quoted.
Beautiful.
Because he is every bit of that. Yeah, because he, like I said, he may not get the accolades, and he may not want the accolades, but from a player's development, Tommy Howe will live forever in all of our memories.
That's
forever.
Right. Yeah.
And to tell you the truth, a lot of my friends who are having kids now, they all know Tommy Howe just from the stories and the legends. So Tommy Howe's legend will continue for generations.
Absolutely. And so take down the rake and get the shovel about the Collom brothers. I just realized about those guys.
Yeah, Tommy, I met Terry, I think when I was 11 or 12, and I want you to know, Kevin, that today is different. But I don't know if you realize this, but that whole decade of Tommy and Terry and Mike coaching us in the Scott Gallagher program did not take a penny.
Wow.
I don't know if you know that.
No, not at all. I'm dropped. I mean,
they were not paid.
Wow.
They were not paid.
Man.
Yeah, let that sink in. Mm. So we as children, and a lot of our, we were just middle-class families, they couldn't afford what today's offerings are in regards to these paid coaches, paid clubs, and, it's kind of big business nowadays. But back then, it was simple. You show up at practice, you try out, you make the team, you show up for practice. If you don't show up for practice, you're not playing in the game. And these coaches were volunteers. And they gave as much as we did, and we worked hard. We gave it our all. These guys were great coaches and didn't take a dime, which is an amazing concept, actually.
Yes.
Reflecting back, yeah.
Yes.
So Terry was great. In fact, the funny story I'll tell you about Kickham, I'll bring up Kickham again. Terry Terry knew that I played for my Our Lady of Good Counsel parish, and we all played for our parish in the CYC. We all played for our parish teams in the CYC league. And Terry's like, "Hey, Brian, we're having tryouts for the Scott Gallagher team. Why don't who else can you invite from your parish that could come and play?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah." First name that came to mind, I'm like, "Yeah, I'll invite Bobby Tomier. He's a good player, and his dad helps coach the parish team, and I'll invite Tommy, and then other than that, I'll invite my best friend Steve Kickham." And Terry goes, "Kickham? That sounds like a soccer name." Isn't that great?
Yeah, man.
And then the rest is history, because Kickham became just synonymous with like one of the best players in the country.
Wow.
Within 12 months of that statement.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another funny story is, it might have been 2 years after that. I think we were under 14, so I would have been turning 13, and Kickham would have been turning 14. And it's our Scott Gallagher team, and we're playing in the regionals. And I think we were in Ohio that year, if I recall. And the coach from the other team and some of the parents from the other team, they got really upset with us, and they came over to our side yelling at us that they couldn't believe how rude we are, because our parents kept telling their kids to kick their children during the game. And I don't know if it was Terry Collom or one of the parents. They're like, no. That kid's name is Kickham. And they're like, "You're kidding me." "No. Kickham. That's the kid's name. And his dad is right here, friend Kickham." And he goes, "Yeah." Now, he didn't have to get out a license or anything like that to prove it. They just basically said, "That's the kid's name. Yeah, the kid that's kicking your ass, yeah, that's him. His name is Kickham." It's really one of the best stories that lives, that will continue to live in infamy, because these parents were like really upset. I'm not saying they were getting ready to fight, because my dad was a monster. He was 6'3". He was a big, massive man. There's no way they would have started a fight with my father. There's no way. But they were pretty upset. "I can't believe you're telling your kids to kick our kids." We're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Oh, yeah, so funny.
Yeah.
The kid's name is Kickham.
Oh.
So funny. So funny.
And
but yeah,
how about this? How about this, Brian? Is that Tomier, was his father a police officer?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Right.
Bobby, and let's see, Bob, Jim, and Jerry, I think, were the kids. They lived in Our Lady of Good Counsel Parish. I think the father's name was Bob Tomier. He was married to Carol, and I don't believe he was a police officer.
Okay, then.
No.
Right.
No.
Well, other full disclosure, I got to tell you, man, that people used to come, they would skip breakfast to come to games to watch me play on Our Lady of Good Counsel Field. Well, anyway, I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's that parish coming to Nativity would be coming out to Our Lady of Good Counsel, and we're going to beat them this year.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if this name rings a bell. David, let's see, Ceresia, it was.
Oh, my gosh, he's a legend.
Dan Ceresia?
He's a legend. Yeah. If you don't know Don Cerisi, you don't know St. Louis soccer. Yeah.
So Don's oldest child, David, was in my grade. So Mr. Ceresia helped us coach. So I'm a little, gosh, I was probably 6 years old.
Wow.
And Mr. Ceresia was coaching me. My other coach was Gene Tackleberry, and he was a good player.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he went high levels. But that name, Ceresia, I'm glad that you recognize that name. So he was my first coach ever, and I was 6 years old.
Wow. I mean.
Yeah, see what I mean? See how lucky I was?
Yeah. Some people say he was the best player ever in St. Louis.
Maybe. Did you see his legs? They're like tree trunks. I remember his tree trunk legs, man. They were monsters. They were as big as my chest. They were bigger than my body. he had these thighs on him. They were tree trunks. It was insane.
Oh, okay.
So, but that's what I mean. I was growing up as a kid. I didn't know any better, but yet look how lucky I got having Mr. Cerisia, Don Cerisia, is my first ever coach with Mr. Tuckerberry, and they were both excellent coaches. And then all of a sudden, 3-4 years later, I'm meeting Tommy Howe. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then
right.
I have Tommy Howe and Terry Collom as my coaches all throughout my youth. I mean, I'm just lucky.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just Irish, man. Luck of the Irish.
Yeah, you go, laddie.
You know, and then in my own neighborhood, I was the youngest. Everybody was 3 and 4 years older than me in the neighborhood. So I had a choice to make. If I was going to play hockey down in the cul-de-sac, I had to suck it up. If I was going to play football in the side yard with all the older kids, I had to suck it up. Yeah. You know, if I was going to play driveway wiffle ball, I had to suck it up and play against the older kids. So it was hard, but I wanted to play. I wanted to be a part of what they were doing on the street in the neighborhood. So I had to step it up. So I think part of me getting, I don't know, I'll just use the term beaten up a little bit as a child, ended up helping me out because I had to try to play faster. I had to try to play harder. I had to try to play tougher. You know what I mean? Everything had to be escalated. So, at the time, I just thought I was, being, they were being mean to me. But, kids are kids and, but it ended up being helpful to me because I was able to get better faster at a faster pace. So I was very fortunate. At the time, it wasn't all that great because they were kind of mean, but it ended up working out pretty well for me.
Absolutely, great insight. And if I may take this time to say, Our Lady of Good Counsel School grounds. I mean, you look here, you look over there, down there, just nothing but the best. To be able to be the best. I mean, you had it all. You had the asphalt, you had the grass. It just was a great place to train and to play.
Yeah, and we had the big school wall to kick balls up against. And kick, and we didn't need a net or anything like that. We just had a big ass brick wall to kick up against, and
with no windows. You couldn't break a window, man.
Right. So it was just, and it was fun, and it was a great community, and, nobody locked their doors, and Mom would just send us out the door and say, come home before it gets dark, and, that's just the way it was, and it was just fantastic.
Here's the pizza money to walk up to Ozello's and bring home a pizza.
Oh, my gosh, I haven't heard that in a long time, Ozello's, yeah, holy cow. Yeah. Yeah, I'm the big fan of Fratelli's out of Delwood.
Oh, name dropper, yeah. Place. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they're out in St. Charles now, and anytime my wife and I fly back home to St. Louis, as soon as we get off the plane, my wife knows what we're doing. We're grabbing the rental car and we're going straight to Zumble exit in St. Charles, and we're going to Fratelli's. Yeah, that's our tradition. Yeah, that's our tradition. But no, I was telling you earlier about the miter syndrome. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
But, please.
So if you remember, the miter soccer ball was like everybody used the miter. Everybody loved the miter. We played with miters all the time. MITRE, the miter. I call it the miter syndrome. But I used to hate Saturday morning games when the grass is kind of dewy and it's got wet, because those miters retained water. So I would just we're going to get 3 or 4 headaches, or we're going to get 3 or 4 times where we're going to see stars. And I'm just like, and then hindsight's 2020. I'm like, man, I wonder how many concussions we had as kids, with that miter soccer ball on rainy days and on dewy mornings.
Oh, yeah.
It's just...
He should take me home and say, Mrs. Whalen, don't let him sleep too long. Wake him up occasionally.
I mean, we laugh about it now, but it's actually quite serious.
Yes.
It is a concern of mine, because I do keep in touch with a lot of my old teammates and stuff, and we're all kind of suffering with typical memory loss and all that. And we just wonder, is it due to, we're just aging and we're getting older and this is common? Or I call it the miter syndrome,
Yeah.
kicking in, which is not good. And it's really a bummer. But that's the case. But I'm just glad that the soccer ball and the technology of soccer balls have evolved. They're much better. They don't retain water. They're more, they're more up to speed on concussions and being able to take care of concussion symptoms. But back in the day, do you know what they did to kind of take care of syndromes for a concussion? 3 words: shake it off.
How many fingers I got up? I said,
right.
What
Shake it off. You be all right. Shake it off. Yeah, those stars don't disappear in about 45 seconds. You be all right.
Oh, man.
So, but hopefully it's not too serious. But I do call it the miter syndrome. I think it's a real thing. I just hope it doesn't affect too many of us as we get into our 60s and 70s. That's all. It's
absolutely.
It's just a concern because
absolutely.
We love the miter ball, man. We trade, we played, we loved that miter ball. It was a great soccer ball. We just didn't like it on rainy and dewy mornings. Rainy days and dewy mornings, we just didn't like it. So we would try to hit it less.
And I think I'm going to be doing a podcast on that because it is.
Yeah, you should.
Because right. And
I had heard that, I don't know if you know Greg Mikowski, but Greg Mikowski is a great player.
Yes.
Out of St. Louis, and I heard that he had passed away early onset dementia, I think in his late 50s.
Yes.
Which is some scary stuff. So
yes.
If you do a podcast on that, maybe do a little research on Greg Mikowski.
Right.
And,
absolutely.
Try to find out what happened with that, because it's stories like that causes me to pause, and it's a little scary. I talked to Bruce Murray a couple months ago. I don't know if you remember Bruce Murray. He was with the U.S. national team.
Name dropper, yeah.
Yeah, back in the... I talked to him a couple months ago because he was here in the Raleigh area for a few years working with a large club, which was at the time called Capital Area Soccer League, which is called Counsel. About the size of Scott Gallagher. They're probably one of the biggest clubs in the country. And Bruce, he was out there. I gotta give him credit. He showed a lot of courage, and he got out there saying he was having memory issues. He was forgetting his wife's name. He was struggling with getting through the day. Some depression was setting in, and he ended up going to Boston, where they were doing some special clinics specifically for soccer players and concussions, because you don't know if you have CTE until you die and they dissect your brain. You don't really know. So, you don't know, these football players, you don't know that they had CTE until after they die and they have an autopsy. So Bruce was up in Boston getting a lot of these tests done, and he went on some medication, and he's turned his life around. I'm so excited. I think he's up in Maryland doing academies and he's just got a great turnaround. So there's help out there. You just got to find it, and hopefully it's not too late for some of these guys that I think may have issues later in life. I'm just hoping I don't, because I'm born in '69, so I'm 56. So
yeah,
hopefully I don't have issues.
Right.
But we're all getting older. We all have memory issues just through age. I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Thus the miter syndrome. That's
yes. Correct. Well said. And rest assured, I will do a podcast on that, and I will inform you of doing it and who I got on to talk about it and everything.
Great. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
That's great.
But we'll definitely be talking to get the confirmation on Greg Mikowski, because his nickname is the face, because he's got the face, but he uses the head as a foot. That his head balls were just legendary.
Exactly. Same with if you remember Steve Tritchew. I'm not friends with Steve Tritchew. I'm not friends with Steve Tritchew. But Bruce Murray is, and I asked Bruce Murray to reach out to Tritchew and just ask him, I hope he's okay, because I remember growing up as a young player, I would watch Trichu play, and the guy just dominated the air. I mean, he just dominated.
Dominated.
It didn't matter. It just dominated the air.
Yeah.
And you talk about when you dominate the air, you're getting every single head. I mean, he was winning, goalkeepers' punts from the other side, and he's heading these balls. I'm like, my God, the damage to the brain is just insane, or the potential damage to the brain is insane.
Correct.
So I'm hoping Trichu's doing okay. I'm assuming some guys are still in touch with Trichu. So
we'll get it out there, and I'll pass it on.
Good. So that's that was me in a nutshell, man. Just a great.
All right, we got you. Hold on, baby. We got you. You got 10 more minutes with me.
All right.
Well,
I don't know what else you want to talk about.
There's a lot. Hey, I'm pulling up with a Volkswagen Beetle. You remember those?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'm pulling it up, and I got you in high school and on junior. You win in the McGuire Cups, and you're the U16, one of the first ever U16 United States national team, and it wasn't even official. You were like the guinea pig guy to think it. You were the starter.
Yeah, I guess that's right. I guess I was one of the earliest ones. I guess that actually is true. And the reason I bring that up is because the United States Soccer Federation at that time was a barely functioning unit.
Absolutely.
It just wasn't. It was so discombobulated. Leadership. They were trying to figure out their own leadership. It was the early stages, not only even in today's world, but say 6 years or 8 years after me, a lot of these young kids, they were getting many caps. They were getting many international games to get ready for the bigger tournaments. Do you know how many caps I had before I played in the World Cup?
Talk to me, baby.
0.
Oh, I would have bet the house on it. I would be living in a motel later on tonight.
But it just goes to show you it goes to show you how old I am, I guess. But it also goes to show you that when I was 15 years old, turning 16, and they're forming this under-16 Youth World Cup team to specifically play in Beijing, China, against the best countries in the world for those age groups, and we don't have caps under our belt, that just goes to show you how dysfunctional the United States Soccer Federation was at that time, and the lack of funding.
Wow.
It was absolutely ridiculous, the lack of funding, the lack of true organization. They were trying. They were just in their infant stages, so they got to start somewhere. What I mean? So I'm not going to throw them under the bus because they gave me a great opportunity to travel, see a bunch of countries, play in Beijing, and there were 100,000 in that first game. Now, sure, they all wore white, weird shirts, and they all rode bikes because nobody drove cars. So you see 100,000 bikes. They all look the same. They're all black. How do they know it's their bike? I have no idea. And why this stuff is even sticking in my brain, I'm not really sure. But it was surreal. We're on the bus going to Worker Stadium, and there's really no cars. It's all bikes. And I'm like, how do they know they all look alike? I mean, it's a communist country. It's all the same. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, man.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Great, and then you're in the stands, and I had just turned 16, and the most we played in front of might have been a few hundred, primarily your parents and friends, and then all of a sudden you're playing in front of 80,000, or no, I think it was close to 100,000 people. I don't know what the official number was. I think it might have been in the 80 or 90,000, but it's easier just to round up. But please. I don't know if Worker Stadium at the time actually held 100,000, but it was definitely between 80 and 100,000 people, which is pretty it's just a bit of surreal, a bit overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, that's
and also it was terribly humid, which was another thing. So we weren't potentially we went in ill prepared because it was so humid. We didn't know losing that much water in a short amount of time, that's going to affect your body and it's going to affect your nutrition. And we just could not replenish fast enough. It was just insane.
Oh my
how
God!
humid it was in China in July. We just didn't. You know what I mean? You just got to realize we just didn't know what we didn't know. It's not like today; they got everything down to a science.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So like I said, the United States Soccer Federation, it was in its infancy stage.
Yeah.
So you got to start somewhere. It's just that we, as kids, because that's all we were just kids. We were talented kids, but we barely had time to train together, and we didn't have international experience playing against international teams prior to going. So it was disappointing, to say the least, that we weren't better prepared, that they didn't plan further ahead, and they didn't raise more money to give us the appropriate tools to, show better, so to speak.
And player, did you think like that when you were 16 or years later you review it?
Oh, this was not long thereafter, where because we're not idiots, and we got some of the best coaches with Scott Gallagher. You're not an idiot. You kind of understand the fundamentals of soccer. You understand tactics. You understand preparation. And we knew rather quickly that, this is really kind of bullshit that the United States Soccer Federation threw us in the mixer like this. They should have planned further ahead. They should have had more money. They should have sent us to Canada to at least play Canada. They could have sent us to Mexico to play Mexico. You know what I mean? We could have got some international games.
Right.
Or invite Canada, Mexico, and somebody else to come and train.
Right, exactly.
Invite Scott Gallagher, invite La Jolla Nomads, invite a team out of Jersey, invite a team out of D.C., invite a team out of Southern Florida, and hell, those club teams would have been awesome.
Yeah, right.
Just to let us train together as a 18-player roster, let us play together, because we didn't really play a whole lot of games together. We trained together, we practiced together for a few weeks prior to going to China, but we didn't have true game experience. It was pretty weak. It's kind of like it was thrown together at the last minute.
Absolutely, yeah. And under full disclosure,
but that was back then, man. Things are so much better now. United States Soccer Federation, they're a well-oiled machine and a well-funded machine. So, it was a different time. No big deal.
Under full disclosure, a friend of Will Certified and myself is a 85er, where they were the first, and she was a goalkeeper from Counsel in the St. Louis area, that they played in the first United States international match. They're called the 85ers. So that was quite a year, because I guess the 90 and then that's when everything busted loose with Anheuser-Busch, Denny Long and the boys.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so here I got you in the VW. They say, hey, you can't play 5 years at DeSmet. You got to go somewhere. And you can't do this and do that. What happens to you? Where you go? What do you do?
With DeSmet? What do you?
No. That your high school and your junior is over with. I tried to Google you, and you fell off the face of the earth.
So yeah, when I was getting ready to graduate high school, I had my schools narrowed down to where I wanted to go, and I was interviewing with those coaches and going on recruiting trips, and I got my schools narrowed down to Duke and Clemson. So So I guess it was my junior year, early senior year. I went to Duke and I went to Clemson to do my recruiting trips and get interviewed by those respective coaches. And then they gave me their offers for, my scholarship. And both Clemson and Duke gave me unbelievable offers, free educations, which was great. So my parents didn't need to worry about paying any bills because I got a full ride at either school. I just had to pick one, and I picked Duke. And it was a close call because I had a lot of Scott Gallagher boys at Clemson.
Yes,
and
you
one
did.
Of my favorite players.
Yes,
and one of my favorite players was at Clemson. That was Bruce Murray.
There
so you had
go.
Dave Fortner, Joe Hummel, John Meek. They were all at Clemson. Clemson was a solid team.
Yeah.
But Duke had just won the national championship. The Herman Award winner was at Duke.
Okay.
John Kerr, he was graduating. And I just really liked the campus, and North Carolina was a beautiful area. And so I chose Duke over Clemson, and Darren Dietrich was on Scott Gallagher, and he's a great story as well. Before we get off, I need to tell you a little bit about Darren Dietrich. So Darren Dietrich was a package deal with me. So he went to McClure North. I was at the Smet, but Darren and I played with each other on Scott Gallagher, I think, since we were 12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, he was from a different parish, but so I want you to write that name down. Darren, Darren, Dietrich, Diedrich.
Uh-huh.
So you talk about, in my opinion, a quiet legend. Legend's a tough word. I don't know if I can use legend, but I can tell you I had conversations a few weeks ago when I was at home watching St. Louis University play at St. Louis U for the finals of the conference. I was with Tommy Strong, Hickam, Horton, Meek, myself, Ori Voss, all these St. Louis guys, and we talked about Darren Dietrich. Darren Dietrich was one of those guys. He played in the back, primarily a stopper for us. So what we love about Tommy Howe and Terry Collom, we never changed our system. Okay, we primarily just stuck to a 4-3-3. Like year after year, 4-3-3. All right? But usually when we're playing against somebody, they usually have like the best player. And typically the best player is going to be in the offensive mode of the other team. And all we would do is like, hey, Darren, here, that's him. Yeah, and we would say, Darren, that's him. And that's all we needed to say. And then the game would be over. Scott Gallagher would win, and their best player did nothing. Do you know why their best player did nothing?
Darren?
Because Darren marked him the whole game and didn't allow him to do shit. He never said a word. Yeah, he never said a word. He rarely made a foul. He was very deceivingly fast. And before we know it, we're like, oh, hey, Darren, great job. And he'd give a little nod or a wave. He barely talked, but he's one of the smartest guys I've ever met. I think he graduated from Duke with like a 3.8 or a 3.9. Just very smart, very intelligent. And he's like the quiet, I don't even know how to describe it. He's one of the best defenders, in my opinion. He's one of the best defenders, true defenders, to come out of St. Louis, and you wouldn't know it. Wow. He was one of the best kept secrets in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And it was Terry Collom, just so you know, it was Terry Collom that went up to John Rennie, who was the coach at Duke at the time. Because you got to remember, back in 86, 87, you didn't have a whole lot of social media. There's no social media. You're lucky to have a VHS tape. You know what I mean?
Yeah, baby.
So John Rennie is in town for the Missouri Athletic Club Player of the Year for John Kerr.
Yeah, Herman Award. Yeah.
John Kerr got the Herman Award winner that year and the Missouri Athletic Club Award, and I was there for the Missouri Athletic Club.
Okay.
Terry Collom goes up to John Rennie, who's the head coach at Duke, and say, I got a gift for you. And John Rennie's like, what? What are you talking about? He goes, there's a player that has been missed by all the top programs in the country. I'm giving you a gift. You need to go watch this player play tomorrow night at Fenton, and you need to bring him to Duke.
Wow.
You can thank me later. He goes, it's a gift. I'm giving you a gift. You can thank me later. He is the best kept secret in the country. And guess what?
What?
Rennie came, watched that game, and it was freezing cold. It had just snowed, but the field was not covered. It had snowed like that morning or something.
Wow.
It was cold as hell. And Rennie and Kirk came out too, but he was wrapped in a blanket. He didn't want to have anything to do with being there. And Rennie came, and I'm sure Rennie wanted to see me as well play, but he was there primarily to watch Darren. And guess what? He offered Darren, I don't know exactly what he offered Darren, because I think he had some academic, because Darren was so smart, I think he qualifies for some academic stuff. But I think Rennie found him some scholarship money in other buckets, if that makes sense. So Darren, I think, got his Duke education paid for because of Terry Collom whispering in Rennie's ear, I'm going to give you a gift.
Wow.
Yeah. How about that for a great story?
Oh, Terry's something else, man.
Oh, yeah. Terry could charm anybody, and it is because of Terry Collom. And Darren, he was raised by a single mom. So, Darren wasn't out there beating the bushes and talking to these college coaches. He just wasn't. So Terry Collom went to probably the best college team at the time, because they had just won the national championship, and said, I got a gift for you. You can thank me later. And just so you know, Darren had a great career at Duke.
Wow.
Yeah, a great career. But again, it was quiet. He did his job. Very solid performance. He ended up playing wingback most of his 4 years there, which he wasn't that comfortable with because he was always a center back for us, a stopper. But it doesn't matter. Darren was just such a great player.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you ever get a chance and you need to interview people, you could also ask him too. But he's another one. He's like, Brian, my memory sucks. I don't remember anything. And I'm like, well, it is what it is, Darren. So, yeah.
Yeah, I wish him. I'll be saying prayers for you guys, man. I know what.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. It is what it is, and we didn't know what we didn't know, and we loved those Miners at the time. We might hate them now, but I'll tell you, we loved them at the time, man.
Yeah, man.
So. Yeah, but if you get a chance, try to remember Darren Dietrich's name. Of course, you already know Kickham.
I won't forget it. Yeah.
And then I could go on and on about some of these players we played with.
Yeah.
And they were just, year after year, we just had some great talent.
I got 2 for 1 with the Collom brothers, Terry and Mike.
Oh, yeah. How about those guys, man? Just nice as hell. Mike Collom, I mean, he was a lawyer, you know what I mean? And he dedicated his life to his law firm and soccer coaching with Scott Gallagher. And how fortunate he brought Sorber up through the ranks. It was just great.
Man, and Mike Sorber's on the play too. I take a bending knee to pray. He'll say yes for an interview.
Yeah, he's a legend in his own right. He has earned everything, and we haven't heard the last from Sorber. I think Sorber is going to rise up through the ranks.
Nice.
So
wonderful. I got goosebumps just hearing that, and I just want you to know that I know that you are now in the Wales Certified Hall of Affinity. I mean, you got so much going on, bro. It's wonderful.
Yeah, well, I just had great parents. I had great supportive parents. I had great coaches all the way from back to when age 6 with Mr. Ceresia, and then meeting T.Howe. So, yeah, I know how fortunate I am, and I'm very appreciative. And I know Tommy knows how appreciative I am because I just love that man.
Right.
And I coached a lot. When I moved after Duke, I moved to Knoxville, Tennessee, and I coached a lot of teams and trained a lot of kids. And everybody knows Tom Howe's name. Because I come from the tree of Tom Howe.
Oh, that's beautiful. Is that the tree over at Sunset Park?
Well, we were Larimore Park.
Okay.
Over there at Spanish Lake. We were Larimore Park.
Oh, okay.
So I coach a lot of kids, and I basically told them I'm from the Tommy Howe tree.
Oh, that's beautiful, man.
Because like every coach has a tree, and you originate from some tree, and there are a lot of coaches that originate from the Tommy Howe tree, and Tommy Howe's tree is a monster tree with a lot of roots, man.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
A lot of roots.
Yeah.
So I come from the Tommy Howe tree.
Nice. That's beautiful.
And just so you know, I did a lot of clinics and camps and things like that. So my tree is pretty big as well because I train thousands of kids. Well, I come from Tommy Howe's tree. So the influence that I'm just one person. The influence that Tommy Howe has is it's hard to put those numbers together. Oh, and this is another thing I need you to take point of. Tommy Howe, Terry Collom, Mike Collom, Dan Gaffney, those guys, as you know, didn't take any money. But do you know how much they're responsible for from a free education? John Meek and I did the numbers one day, and it's in the millions.
Wow.
It's in the tens of millions. Like, my education alone at Duke was probably $250,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Johnny Meek got money at Clemson. His was worth money. Just name all these players. Just keep going down the ranks of all these players. And not only did they help us get into college, they helped us get free educations. So these coaches are responsible for tens of millions of dollars of free education for children across that St. Louis area.
Right on, man. Yeah,
tens of millions.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we benefit.
And that is, that's a true statement. Look, nothing against Florence Valley. I would have been happy to go to Florence Valley and play for Mr. Sorber. I would have been happy to do that. But because of Tommy and Terry and Mike and pushing me and giving me that push, I was able to go to one of the top universities in the country and get it for free.
Yes.
So it's just, there's so much value in that, and these guys were not paid. They're volunteers. So it's hard to put it into words, the appreciation that I personally have, and I know a lot of my friends that I grew up with have that same appreciation, like Kickham. I'll talk like this about Tommy Howe to the day I die. Because I owe a lot to my personal success, and I do well for myself. My personal success, not only in relationships, but business, friendships. I lead a very happy life. And a lot of that is because of people like Tommy Howe, Terry Collom, Don Ceresia, Greg Vitello.
Yeah.
They not only raised a good soccer player, I would like to think they raised a good young man. Terry's loose, Tommy's loose, but I can tell you they were disciplined. And I'm not saying we weren't, we didn't cause trouble. We caused trouble, just like any kid, but we were disciplined.
Yeah.
And that discipline leads to my adult life, and it all originates from those guys. When it was Missouri Cup time or we're getting ready to play for the state cup, you wouldn't believe how disciplined we were. Nutrition, bed, no drinking. We were on the straight and narrow during Missouri Cup time. It was like we were, without knowing it, we were professional athletes without knowing we were professional athletes, but we were acting like professional athletes. Because when it came to cup time, Tommy, it instilled to us that it's cup time, boys. We need to get serious. That's why we won so much.
Yeah.
Nobody outworked us. Nobody outplayed us. And we were always in top. Nobody was going to out-physicality us. We were always more fit. We would never drain in the last 10 minutes because we were fit. Nobody was going to work harder than us. We trained super hard. And I'm talking fitness as well as playing. Right. It's just that Tommy really didn't do run to run. We we trained so hard. We did a lot of fitness while playing, if that makes sense.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey.
So again, just amazing thinking back of the influence of these people dedicated their lives or portions of their lives to all these children for the betterment of those children. It's just insane.
Yes.
Yeah. For free.
Okay, man. I mean, I got goosebumps. This was, man, you brought the shovel, baby. This was deep. So,
all right. Well, you could tell, you could tell the boys when, when you got introduced to me, hopefully, why don't you give them a call and say, man, that was hopefully a good conversation with, Donnelly.
oh, you know it, man. I mean, if they didn't like this, they're not a friend of mine. I mean, you're top shelf, baby. Hey, how about this, Brian? What's always been a well-certified custom is to say, hey, whatever you want to say to who you ever want to say it to for as long as you want to say it for. This is your opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I think I pretty much said it. I think I've said it. I've said it to Tommy Howe and the other guys. I just, you usually don't tell a man that you love him, but it's that level of love and respect. Because I owe so much to that crew of coaches, all the way down to Don Ceresia, all the way up to Terry Collom, Greg Vitello, Tommy Howe. My life has been developed primarily due to my father, my mother, and those coaches. It takes a village, The
two of them and Lou English, they pointed right at you. That's the guy. You get on and kick them. That you two guys, they love you too, man.
Yeah, Lou, I knew Lou as acquaintance through Terry, but Lou was never my coach. Lou would come to training because he was great friends with Tommy and Terry. So I got to know Lou through Terry, but I was never affiliated with Lou, but I know Lou has been an unbelievable coach. It's just that we did not cross paths. The timing wasn't there or whatever. But I know Lou, he had a USSFA license, I believe, or he still does. He was in that upper echelon.
Yeah.
And I had a USSFA license at one time. So
nice.
That's the level that I was. I was training and coaching a lot of high-level kids, and I had a USSFA license. So I understand the hard work and determination to get that license because it's not easy to get it.
No, it's not.
But yeah, Lou's the one that introduced us. I just didn't have, I just didn't come across Lou as a coach. I just came across Lou as a friend, and and Lou's great. He hasn't changed a bit. Still dedicated to the game.
Yeah.
Still dedicated to St. Louis. And it's just like I said, just very, very fortunate that I was living within a 30-minute range of all these top-notch people.
Yes, you did.
And that's what they are. They're just top-notch people.
Yes.
Not just coaches. They're just top-notch people. So,
that's right.
And I think all of them know my feelings because I'm a direct communicator. I say what's on my mind. Love it, like it, or hate it. It doesn't matter. It's coming out of my mouth how I feel. So I don't hold back too much.
No.
So.
Well,
cool. I hope this was good for you, and I appreciate you taking the time, and it worked out well. We've been on the phone for over an hour. It worked out well. I was between appointments, and this has been great.
Oh, thank you, Brian. Well, so you know that I know you know. I took one off the shelf and put this episode on top.
Oh, okay. Well, again, please tell Lou hello for me, and hopefully Lou gets some good laughs out of this as well if he ends up.
Oh, absolutely. You did everything. You touched all bases, man.
All right. Hey, Kevin, appreciate it. It was a pleasure meeting you back at that Legends party. And, thanks for following up and reaching out. And I'm glad that we were able to connect.
All right. Wonderful. I'll download it, send it out to you and all your friends.
Thanks, Kevin. See ya.
All right. Bye-bye.